Hello, everyone. This is Crystal with We Are Magick, and this is another podcast. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate all of your support. So, this is a segment that I like to call story time. And what I do with story time is I use my personal experiences and all of my setbacks, my lessons, and I use them as tools to not only help me, but people who go through the same things that I may go through. And if you haven't gone through what I've gone through, bravo to you guys. Good for you. But with that being said, I want to talk about happiness. Okay. A lot of us suffer from depression, anxiety, panic attacks, and a lot of it has to do not only with our inner world, but our outer world. And I think a lot of the reason why a lot of us are suffering from depression, not just because of DNA or, how they say that we pass things down from generation to generation, because science is starting to prove that is wrong. You have some people who, for instance, like myself, I'm the only documented person in my family that has Crohn's disease. This wasn't passed down to me. Now, there was colon cancer in our family, but knowing what I know about stress and what stress does to the body, like Dr. Joe Dispenza said, his research has found out that not only can your brain and trauma create disease or dis-ease in your body, but it can also create healing, right? Like you take double-blind, studies, and you'll have people that have like cancer, and some people took like what they thought was radiation or chemo. In other words, like taking a sugar pill. And the fact that their faith or their intent that they were going to be healed, that they believed so much in this pill that really wasn't even medicine. They believed so much that they healed themselves. So that's how powerful our brain is. So with that being said, let's talk about happiness. This is going to take a while because this is a spiritually based podcast. And I'm not these woo spiritual people that's all love and light. I am about being grounded. I am experiencing life on this planet. And yes, we do have astral experiences. Yes, we are energy. We are source, incarnated into a flesh suit for lessons on this earth plane. That's as woo as you're going to get me right now. But with that being said, you also came here for a reason. Okay? And they have indoctrinated us to think that if you're miserable, if you're poor, if you just hate your fucking self, that yours is the kingdom of heaven. And that's just not fucking true. Everything that they've taught us is to enslave our mind. And they make self-love out to be selfish. They teach you love your neighbor as you love yourself. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. But they never teach you how to love yourself, do they? And if you have any type of any self-love, they're like, oh, they're in their ego, they're prideful, and da-da-da. And ego, there's a different type of ego where you feel you're just better than every fucking body. And then there are healthy ways to love yourself, to where we're all one, and everyone is having their own experience and their own journey, and no one's better than the other. You just, it takes a while to get to that point. So with that being said, I was in perpetual relationships. Basically, from what I saw of my parents, because my parents stayed together for a long time when they should have ended like 2 days into it, right? But seeing them suffer through adultery and all the horrible shit that went on with my parents, my poor mom, I was basically accustomed to, stand by your man, right? And not necessarily that she stood by him because she loved him. She stood by him because that's what she was taught to do as a child. And she was just thinking it's just better to keep the family together. And they were both miserable. They did not like each other. It was so apparent these two did not like each other. And we saw it. And You're taught at a very young age to seek happiness outside of yourself, whether through food, games. I mean, they're always using the media, the news, Christmas, holidays. The holidays are just a money grab for you to go shopping. I mean, this is all simulation. But with that being said, I learned that in my relationships, I thought it was their job to make me happy. And I thought that it was my job to keep them happy. And that's how they train us, guys. This is why we are failing so miserably. This is why the suicide rate is outstanding, even little babies. Now, if you've heard my story, I almost killed myself at 9 years old. It had nothing to do with, me being unhappy with my life. It was just I had a horrible father who was, pedophile and just miserable and bullied and all that shit. But when you're a child, there's things you cannot control. You are at the helm of your parents or your guardians, right? So when you become older and you move out of their umbrella, it's up to you. Like, you get pushed out into the world and you don't even know what you're doing. You don't even know where you're going. All you know is what public education, for most of us, what public education taught us, what your Sunday school taught you. There's a plane flying over, by the way. Hold on for a second. But they don't really teach us how to adult, as millennials say. Like, I am having trouble adulting. So how do we get into the mindset of self-love? Well, I am twice divorced now. And if I had learned my lesson from my first relationship, my first husband, if I had learned the lesson, I would not have failed so many times. And we never learn our lessons because we stay in a mindset of victim mentality. Like, oh, I did this for them. I did that for them. They did not appreciate me. Blah, 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 right? But the thing is, I found out with my last relationship, my last marriage, I was with him for 11 years. We were married for, I think, 6. And the problem was both of us were looking to each other for happiness when happiness was within us. So what I discovered after my divorce, it is not my partner's job to make me happy. And it is not my job to make my partner happy. To have true happiness, you have to have it within yourself. And the thing is, a lot of us do not take time to heal from a broken relationship. We just go from one relationship to another relationship, and all we do is perpetuate the same silly cycle that usually ends up with heartbreak and disappointment. So what I have learned, being the old woman that I am now, I did not jump into another relationship after, my divorce. I stayed celibate. Yeah, me. And don't get me wrong, I have opportunities. I have plenty of opportunities out here. I mean, my Lord, it's just raining dick in my inbox, you know what I'm saying? But with that being said, I don't want it. And I'm not shying away from love. Well, in a sense, I guess I am. But here's the crazy thing, guys, and this is what I found out. My relationships have been so shitty that I have more happiness by myself than I do in a relationship. And that's the thing you have to get to. You've got to become so secure in yourself that you don't need another person. You don't need to feel validated by someone else. You don't need a relationship to feel like you are worthy. And I know a lot of my friends are worried about me because, my ex has moved on. And they're like, it's not fair, Crystal. You really need to have somebody. I really don't. And I don't think they understand that. Like, I know from the outside in, it looks a little like, wow, she's really not doing good. But actually, I'm happy. And that's what scared me. And that's when I knew I had to reprogram my subconscious mind and know that I am truly okay by myself, that I do not need a man. to make me happy. I want to be so happy and secure within myself. When I meet someone, I need them to be on the same frequency as me, meaning they are so in love with themselves and so secure within themselves that they don't need me to pour into them every 2 seconds and fluff them and cater to them. And I don't need that either. I need a partner. I need a friend. I need a lover. But I don't need a child. I don't need a daddy. Well, that's another subject. But you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't need to be in a partnership to be happy. Now, again, let me reiterate, I'm not frowning upon relationships. What I'm saying is my relationships were so bad that I found more happiness within myself than I did in a relationship. So I am taking all the time in the world to focus on me. And if I'm celibate for 5-10 years, then so be it. Of course I miss sex. Of course I miss the snuggling and the cuddling and the hanging out and having a best friend. As I saw 11:11 on the timer. But I don't miss the stress. I don't miss accusations. I don't miss walking on eggshells. I don't miss being cussed out. I don't miss being reminded that I'm not enough. I don't miss the constant state of stress in my being that caused more dis-ease. Meaning, if you have some type of illness, and most of us do because the food is trash and they're just GMOing and insecticizing the hell of our food. So even vegans aren't safe unless you are growing your own shit on your own property away from acid rain in the United States. But we truly don't need to be in a relationship just to be in one if you're not happy. So with that being said, I just saw 12:12 on the timer. So with that being said, here's the thing. If you are emotionally happy and content within yourself, by yourself, like you are whole by yourself, you are so happy by yourself, like if the person displays any type of red flag, any type of narcissism, any type of control, manipulation, you'll catch it. And I don't care how pretty they are. I don't care how good the sex is. You will walk the fuck away or send them away. And that's the beauty of self-love. You don't have to take on anyone's unhealed bullshit. They call it trauma bonding. And I get it, especially if you've been in abusive situations and you've had a rough start in life and you just you're called an empath, you're a healer. So these broken beings, these broken energetic beings are attracted to you. As they say in the light worker community, they're attracted to your light, or they're attracted to your healing, your chi energy. And they know that they can suck off of your energy, whether that's friendship or relationship like love, sexual, or whatever. You have to have enough self-respect for yourself to guard your energy and your space. Okay? So I'm to the point now in my life that I am not people-pleasing anybody. I am very happy with myself in all areas of my life. No, I'm not a millionaire. No, I'm not the most famous person on the planet. No, I'm not, but I'm happy. I have peace in my life. I'm not in a point in my life where I'm like, oh my God, are they upset with me? Or this or that. I mean, when you get to that point, if you're emotionally happy within yourself and you're in a miserable situation, let's say you two get together. You and your person are together and you both are super happy before you got with each other, right? But as the relationship seems to go on, you're starting to feel stress around this person. You're starting to feel the anxiety and the angst and the anguish and all that shit, right? And what happens is you lose your happiness. You lose your essence. You lose yourself. That's what they call we lose ourselves. We lost ourselves. We forgot who we truly were because you start manipulating the situation to make them happy. Like you start changing yourself. They start breaking you down little by little and just telling you just to the point where you go home and you're like, oh, this motherfucker, like, oh, this mother, you know what I mean? So if it gets to that point, if you're so happy within yourself, but you're miserable around them, it is not their fucking job to fix you. Yes, relationships are hard. It shouldn't be hard though. If you have self-respect for one another, it should not be hard. No one is here to worship you, and you're damn sure ain't here to worship anybody else. So with that being said, if this person you love so much takes away from your happiness and your self-worth, remove yourself. Why stay in it? Oh, because I love them and it's going to hurt. Well, that's like hanging on to some shoes that fit you really comfortably because you've had them for 10 years, but there's holes in them. Every time it rains, you're soaked, you catch the flu. I mean, it's just, you put them on and you get blisters because, again, there's no more support. But you're like, but they're comfortable though, and I've had those shoes forever. Yeah, ditch them. You've got to love yourself first. No one's going to love you the way you love you. And the goal is to find someone on the same frequency and healing as you. That way you're not carrying baggage over to a person who's done the work. And you don't have to take anyone else's baggage when you've done the work. That is true shadow work. That is true healing. You look at each relationship that you took part in and you look at like, okay, what did I do wrong here? Oh, this is what I did wrong. Oh, I was giving too much. I should have realized when it wasn't balanced, and I was constantly the one fighting to keep this relationship alive. That's where I went wrong. Oh, the first time this person told me that I wasn't good enough and I stayed. That's where I went wrong. You see what I'm saying? And you just start to truly go within and find why you stayed. Why was your happiness not as important as theirs? Why did you push your happiness to the side for someone who didn't even appreciate it and threw you away anyway? I know it's kind of deep, it's kind of heavy, 1717. It's kind of deep and heavy, but I mean, it's the truth. We've got to start loving ourselves more. I'm going to speak about this more. I've kind of went on too long, but I really want us to go within and focus more on what we need to do, not what everyone around us has to do. Because once you are truly whole and healed and full of love and compassion for yourself, you will not tolerate anything less than. All right, guys, I appreciate you for listening, and we are Magick, and I will do more about this segment. Have a good one.